This is the Huaban hand crank portable generator. I want to get into this today. Okay, so we'll get more into detail on this in a little bit, but I want to talk just real quickly about why and when and where you would use something like this. In a previous video, I did a presentation on the Tiki hand crank generator, which I have right here, and maybe you saw that video. If not, you can see it in my feed. But this is a power bank or a battery, a lithium-ion battery inside of a housing that has different capabilities, like for jumping a vehicle. It's got a USB output, a 12-volt output. It also has a 110. It's got an inverter in here so that you can go from direct current to 110. So that's a power bank. This is not a power bank. This is a hand crank generator. So whatever you charge, you're charging directly off of this, and you have a voltage controller here. This is going to have limited utility. Who wants to crank on something like this all day long? I don't know of many people. I don't want to crank on it all day long. But it's great to have in a pinch when all of your appliances are dead and you need to do something like charge a GPS unit to get your location, or to send your location to someone else, or to get a phone backup online so that you can use it for navigation purposes or texting or communication, or get a laptop up. There's all kinds of reasons that you would want something like this in your arsenal of preparedness. So let's get into the unboxing. Here's something to think about. This is a potato. What's neat about this generator is you can eat this potato and your body will generate energy, and then you can use that energy to turn the hand crank in here and make electricity. Most other generators and gasoline generators, diesel generators, solar generators, etc., they do not allow themselves to be powered by the potato, whereas this generator does. In addition, roast beef, bananas, any of that will power this generator after you eat it. Okay, just a quick unboxing. Inside, you'll find two manuals that give you some instructions on how not to fry your appliances, and how to deal with voltage governors, and how to secure the generator to a tree or a post if you don't want to hold it by hand. Then there is the DC-DC voltage governor. This plugs in on this side with an aviation type connection to the generator, and then the electricity comes to the governor, where you can control it from 3 volts to 5 volts to 6, all these different settings depending on which appliance you want to charge, all the way up to a high setting. And then on the output end, you've got several different types of fittings to allow you to charge multiple or different kinds of devices. Then there's the generator itself. It has a strap on the back for your hand or for a fence post or a tree. This is the crank. The crank does have an extension that allows you to get extra leverage on the crank if you need it when generating electricity. There's an indicator light here. This is the output where the voltage governor is connected. And then it comes with a USB light. This is a 4-watt bulb that goes into the USB connection and lights up. It's quite bright, makes a great emergency light, but I think really it's in here as a test to make sure that you're generating electricity from your USB connection before you use it. And then finally it comes with 2 sets of alligator clamp cables designed for charging batteries. This one hooks up to the voltage governor so you can control the voltage at which you're charging the battery. This one just plugs directly into the generator. Okay, so one of the scenarios that I wanted to go through with the Huaban is concerns a Garmin. I use a Garmin InReach Explorer unit when I work alone in the woods, or if I am on a backpack trip. The Garmin unit allows you to send your latitude and longitude to anyone that's on your distribution list. You can also send texts with it. It's all by satellite. And there's also an SOS button on the unit that allows you to call for emergency services. So imagine a scenario where you're with a backpacking buddy or a party of backpackers, someone's injured, you've been on the trail for multiple days, and your GPS unit is out of power, and your power banks are drained, and you need to find them help and get them out, or call for emergency services. How long would it take the Huaban to charge this unit so that I could climb to the ridge top and send out a signal and a call for help? Okay, so I've cranked on this thing for 5 minutes and 13 seconds. I went a little over 5 minutes because I had to stop for a second and tighten this strap around my hand. I think it took 2 or 3 seconds. Cranking on this thing for 5 minutes is a long time. It will make you tired. So let's see if this thing will crank up. And if it does, not only does it have to start, but it has to stay on long enough to sync with the satellites, find them, and then broadcast my signal. So we are still at a 5% battery warning. Your device will shut down soon. Plug your device into a power source to charge and continue use. We'll hit OK. Now it's down to 3%. Let's see with 3% if I can actually get a signal out. Okay, so this thing is holding at 3%, and I've now sent out my location. So what you don't want to see in an emergency situation, I don't know if you can read this, but it says poor GPS strength, and it's giving me the option of waiting or sending the signal anyways. Okay, so I was able to get 2 signals or 2 locations sent out. I accidentally hit this thing twice. By 4 p.m., the screen keeps turning off because the power's really low. So with 5 minutes of cranking, we were able to get the Garmin back up in shape enough to send out an emergency location. Now in a real world scenario, I probably would have cranked another 5 minutes or so just to make sure I was okay in case I ran into difficulty like with that. For a little while there, it was saying that the GPS signals were poor, and it took a while for it to lock on, and so I would probably crank longer than that in a real life scenario if I had the luxury of doing so. But nevertheless, that is a victory for the Huaban. Okay, so another similar scenario to the Garmin being out of power on a backpack trip would be to just the need for being in communication. So I took this old cell phone that I keep in my drawer. It was completely dead. It's back down to 1% now. But what I did was I hooked it up to the generator, and I generated it on 5 volts to see how long it would take to turn on. Now this thing's been in the drawer for months without any kind of charge, but I got it up to 5%, from nothing to 5% in 13 minutes and 31 seconds. So 13 minutes and 31 seconds, I got it to 5%. At 9.5 minutes, the phone actually came on. By cranking from 9.5 up until 13.5 minutes, I got up to 5%. So 5% on the trail, if you're in a situation where you need to use Avenza or maps, you're going to burn that up pretty quickly. It would be sufficient to get into Avenza and find a latitude and longitude and look at a map and see where you are. It would be sufficient for sending a text or a call if you could get out. So it's a really cool thing to have. So I'm very pleased with the hand crank generator from Huaban. I hope I'm saying that right.